PWCC is a great way to sell your sports cards. If you're looking for a way to support the Cajun Cardboard YouTube channel, consider using the promo code Cajun, all caps, CAJUN, when you're selling your cards on the PWCC marketplace. All right, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana, and today's the day that you've all been waiting for. It's the NBA Dark Alley Draft. We are going to talk about the guys that we would least like to see turn the corner in a dark alley. Jonathan, here's the hypothetical. Welcome to the show again, as always. I'm not even going to welcome you to the show because it's our show. It's our show together. This is the hypothetical. Let's lay it out. These are guys that, let's say, were in the street. They turn the corner in a dark alley. You're not with anybody. You just left the party. You're trying to walk to your car. These guys come around the corner, and let's say they're under the impression that you said something about their mom or their wife, right? These are the guys that are like, I am going to take, like, they're mad. They're coming around the corner. They see you. You're the dude that said something about my mom or my wife. You're dead. No weapons. Or we're on the same page. Let's get our criteria straight. No weapons allowed.
Right.
Obviously, we're not carrying weapons. They're hypothetical. These have to be NBA players, okay? We're not choosing Mike Tyson. We're choosing NBA players only, and we're going all the way back throughout history because I'm sure both of us had Kuzi on our list. Right?
And Havlicek. Yeah,
and Havlicek. Havlicek might be on that. I don't know. Who knows what Havlicek. Dave Cowens might be on somebody's list.
Yep.
That crazy bastard. So these are the guys that we would least like to be coming at us saying, I heard what you said about my wife, or I heard you slept with my wife, or something crazy like that. Like somebody spread a terrible rumor, and these guys are ready to, it's going to get bad. It's going to get ugly, and there's no way to run. There's nowhere to run. Like, you can't just turn around and run. Because a lot of these guys, I would honest to God turn around and run.
Yeah, you got to fight in this scenario. And I think on my list, and I'm sure you have some on your list as well, I have some guys that if they saw me in a dark alley, it wouldn't even, or just saw anybody in a dark alley, and they realized that there was nobody there to witness it. Yeah. They might just whip my ass just to whip my ass.
That's the other thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just because they're a little off or way off.
Yeah. Yeah, some of these guys you don't need to plant the seed. You don't need the rumor that you did something to them, to wrong them, or said something about them. That's a good point.
And I also want to make this point too, because we're different in this, and I was always far, far too overconfident in myself in a physical altercation. Right? Always
far too confident.
Way too confident for sure.
First of all, let me ask you a question. How many times have you been punched in the face with somebody's fist? Not counting your brother.
10.
You've been punched in the face 10 times?
Yeah, but like 5 or 6 of them were in one. by several people. Like, it was not one person.
That's great. I know that story. That's the Acadian. That's over on Acadian. Yeah, I've heard that story. I've been punched in the face once by a now friend of mine, actually in the back. He punched me from behind. Reached around, caught me on the ear, on the temple, and it was on a basketball court. And it's a great story. It's a great story. We may get to that story during our future episode where we talk about pickup basketball stuff that we love.
Here's my point in saying my overconfidence.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Is in these scenarios, I would be scared to death, period. Yeah. There's no scenario where any of these guys I look at and go, I got a shot here. No, not at all.
I have, on my top 10, I have no shot against any of these. First of all, let me ask you this. You're what, 6'4", 215, 220?
220, 225, yeah.
6'4", let's say 222.5. 6'4", 222. That sounds awesome. I'm 6'4", 199. So we're not small human beings. We're relatively good-sized human beings. We stay in pretty good shape. We're both pushing 50 years old, so I'm not looking to fight anybody, right? But I don't think I have anybody on my list smaller than me. Do you have anybody by any chance on your list or honorable mention that's smaller than you?
No, I have 2 honorable mention guys that I am comparable to. One that I'm probably bigger than.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rest of the guys that
I'd have to look one of these up. Yeah, I'd be close on a couple of my honorable mentions and one or two of these guys. I'd be close. I'd be close. Still, I would want nothing to do with him.
right.
This would be a deal where somebody said, "Hey, look, I just need you to just have a fist fight with this guy. We'll give you $100,000 if you just. I just need you to fist fight him for 3 minutes."
Yeah.
There's no way in hell I'm fist fighting any of these guys, even the guys that are smaller than me, for any amount of money. So let's get cranking. So we decided we're gonna do our top 5 draft. So we're gonna draft. So if you take a guy, I can't take him. I gotta scratch him off my list. And I've got a lot of honorable mention that I just want to talk through fast. But we didn't want to do the honorable mention first because it went to spoil the top 5. So let's get cranking. Why don't you want to draft first or me?
I'm going to let you draft first, but here's what I want the viewers to know is at the end, and I'm assuming you probably will ask for this at the end anyhow, we'd love to hear which team you think comes out of the alley at the end, right? Based on our
everybody's seen Anchorman, and when the rival newscasters, the gangs come together, it's just an all-out gang, all against all. If we had a 5-on-5, my 5 dark alley top 5 picks and your dark alley top 5 picks, who's coming out of there? And maybe only one person comes out alive.
That's right.
I know who I'm choosing. I know for a fact I need the first pick. Although you and I sometimes disagree on this.
No, we won't.
The first pick. I need the first pick on this.
Yeah, you do. You have it.
Can I have the first pick?
Yep.
Okay, well, I'm taking Ron Artest. There's no question about it. You knew I was going to take Ron Artest. Yep. He's the only person on my list that I assume is a cannibal. Yep. He's got the perfect human body. Ron Artest in his prime, as far as fighting goes. I got to believe if the MMA was more popular when he was playing, he would have just done it probably during the season without needing to train. I'm guessing he was 6'8", 240, maybe something like that.
I think he was probably heavier than that, man. I really do. I think
at his prime he was too. Sorry, I've got to look him up now.
I'm gonna give him 250. I mean, he was a big old dude. And by the way, he would have been
260.
Yeah, he'd have been my first.
I have a feeling if he lifted his shirt up, his abs would be bleeding because he was shredded. He was an absolute animal and horrible decision maker in the NBA as far as knowing when to say when. Numerous elbows that could have killed people. Kermit Washington's punch is obviously the probably most famous punch ever in the history when he smashed Rudy T's face in. The elbow that Ron Artest threw to, was it Harden?
It was Harden, yeah. When he was with Oklahoma City, yeah.
Literally, he could have changed Harden's life.
Yes.
Could have changed Harden's life with that.
And I will say this, Ron Artest would have been my first pick as well. Because in this scenario, he's the most thrown off guy that we can come up with that can also fight, I would imagine, right?
That is also that size. All those things, yeah. And guess what? He's from Queensbridge, for God's sakes. I mean, I don't know how much you know about Queensbridge, but I know enough to know I don't want to be in Queensbridge after dark and Ron Artest rolls around the corner. Let's put it that way.
Well, I know nothing about it other than that he's from there, so I don't want to go there. That's all. But I do know this. I am one of the few, and you may disagree with this. I don't even know if we've ever talked about this, honestly. I had no problem with him going up in the stands in the Malice of the Palace. I had no problem with it whatsoever because dude had a beer. He was laying there on the scores table and had a beer thrown on him. Now, I understand they're professional athletes. It was a beer. It wasn't a punch. It wasn't a gun. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. But you know what, dude? That fan deserved to have his ass whipped, period. And because when you throw that at somebody, I don't have the first problem with it whatsoever. Now, granted, that goes back to my my inability to control myself when it came down to something like that, which still exists, like to a degree, right? But at the same time, I just didn't have a problem with it. I didn't. Now, all the other stuff that went crazy, I get it, but like, man,
I had a problem with it. And David Stern had a problem with it.
Well, that's really all that matters. Why did you have a problem?
Well, you just can't let it escalate like that. And I get it. And you're defending yourself. Dude, it could have been a beer can. Would it have been different if it was a full beer can that was thrown at him? And I guess they don't serve those at NBA arenas. I get it. while that was a despicable act by that fan who was unquestionably drunk and did get his ass beat, I think it was I know they went up there. He got the guy that threw it.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
That could not possibly have hurt Ron Artest as much as Ron Artest's. I guess they call it inequitable retaliation. Like the use of force of Ron Artest's fist into that fan's face would have probably far outweighed a cup of beer being thrown on Ron Artest, even if it was from 20 feet.
100%. No doubt about any of that. And I still had no problem with it whatsoever.
I know. It's like saying if somebody punches you in the face, you can just pull out a gun and shoot him in the neck. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Okay. It is an unreasonable use of force.
I don't agree with that scenario.
Okay, good. Let's just be clear. I might need to find a new guest. Can you take your first draft pick so this doesn't take 12 hours?
Take my first draft pick. And I'm not going to take who you think I'm going to take because I've actually seen it's just based on pure size. I've got a newbie that we haven't really talked about that I'm throwing in, and I'm making him my first pick. And that is Steven Adams. Because I feel like when I saw Shannon Sharp completely, and Shannon Sharp is a monster. Okay? Yeah. When I saw him.
Monster in a cardigan. Monster wearing a knit cardigan sweater.
Which makes you even more of a monster because that means you're not worried about what anybody thinks.
Nobody can say shit to you, right? Yeah.
It's almost like I'm wearing a cardigan. What are you going to say, right?
Yeah.
When he wanted no part of Steven Adams, who just walked over there, by the way. Okay. Yeah. I was, and we've heard stories, plus the dude looks like Aquaman, first of all. So that's a problem. So I'm going to go with him first. And here's why. I'm not saying he's thrown off like Ron Artest, but he's thrown off for sure in a different way, like crazy Aussie style.
Calm off. He's calm throwed off.
There it is. Right. Yeah.
Throwed off is the term, actually, just to make, to help some of the more Caucasian viewers we have. Throwed off is kind of the term that's used to describe people with a little bit of imbalance, a little bit of unpredictability, a little bit of a short fuse. Throwed off.
Really no R. I really don't think there's an R in it. It's really thowed.
It might be thowed off. Was there a W or is it just THODE?
That's probably it. Thowed.
Thowed off. So Steven Adams, did you know that they do these NBA player polls, and for 3 years in a row, he was voted by the players, the player they would least like to fight, which is kind of what we're doing in this dark alley draft.
My only problem with choosing him is I knew that fact, but in an era that is deemed kind of soft, right? That's a
no question. Right. And it's not a coincidence that a lot of the guys that we're going to draft here in this top 10 are probably going to be for the 80s and 90s.
Yes.
With a chance that we could touch into the 70s, but probably 80s and 90s.
Yep.
All right. Oh God, this is tough. Well, this is not tough because this was the other guy that I was choosing. By the way, Steven Adams is my top 5. But this is another guy that I was choosing from as possibly the number 1 because I'm going with pure data and science. And I was worried you might have done a little research and taken him. My number 2 pick's James Johnson. Starting with the fact he's got a neck tattoo. Let's just start there. So that's number 1. Number 2 is his nickname is Gladiator.
Yeah.
His teammates, his peers call him Gladiator. But most importantly, and the reason I'm making him my clear-cut number 2 is because I do apply logic, and I wanted to put some thought into this for my draft team, because when we have our 5-on-5 at the end of it, he's probably going to be the one calling the shots and leading my group of 5 in this gang fight we're about to have. He's a 2nd-degree black belt in karate. Who knows what degree he is now? This is old. And, he's fought in the MMA and he kickboxes. So he knows multiple disciplines, which means if he doesn't kill you by punching you in the face, he could kick you in the face. Or if he gets you to the ground, you're not going to be breathing in a very short time. He was 18-0 as a kickboxer. 7-0 in the MMA. Never lost a fight in the MMA. Now, I don't know who he was fighting, but the fact that he was fighting, period, is frightening enough. And then he was 20-0 in kickboxing. And you're talking about somebody who is, let me just run this real quick. I was going to say about the same 6'7", 240. 6'7", 240.
Yeah.
A 6'7", 240 kickboxer.
Yeah. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
And I have a guy on my list. I mean, James Johnson was on my list for sure, but like,
Okay, good.
I have a guy on my list also who falls into a similar category, not MMA, I'm not going to choose him next because I need somebody else. But
Yeah.
hopefully you won't choose him. But
All
no,
right, give me
James,
your number 2. I got Artest and Johnson. That is
it's tough.
a horrific blend of, chemically imbalanced volatility and thoughtful precision.
Yeah.
That's like Jordan Pippen. This is a Jordan Pippen of the dark alley draft.
Yeah, it's a problem. I'm going to go with the guy that was renowned as the toughest dude in the league during the 90s. And that's Charles Oakley.
I'm marking him off. I knew it. I knew you were going there. He was my number 4 on my list.
And Oak was what, 6'9", probably 255, 260. But he was the dude that you just didn't mess with.
Oh, hold on. Stop this. Let me just show you something. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Are you ready for this? People at home, are you sitting down for this? Look at Charles Oakley's weight, please.
Oh, my God. That's like Zach Randolph. Remember that? We used to talk about that? Zach Randolph, they listed it like, what,
190? 6'8", 225. What is this, Tayshaun Prince?
No.
What in the hell are they talking about?
Well, I'm as heavy as Charles Oakley. Oh, that's good. That's smart. Okay. Charles Oakley was 6'9", 260. I think we would say safely, right? 225. He was born at 225. I'm pretty sure.
That's not going to work.
All right. So Charles Oakley, who, okay, as long as when we go down the tail of the tape, we do agree that
we agree. He is not giving away 40 pounds to Ron Artest.
Okay. That way. So Oakley was the dude who, in a players' union meeting, apparently slapped Charles Barkley with no retaliation whatsoever.
I heard about this. Slapped him straight in his face. Like, now, what? Let's go.
Right.
You sat there.
Yeah, and he is the dude that nobody messed with in the 90s ever. So that would be my second pick.
I think that's a great pick. He was. Back in the era where the NBA had enforcers, now they have villains. We've got Dylan Brooks, we've got Draymond Green, we got villains, but we don't have enforcers because the consequences of being an enforcer are just so great that they would never be able to enforce because they'd never even be eligible to play in games. They'd be suspended because the NBA's just turned the corner on that and what you can and can't do. But he was, and this is a great segue, is leading me into my next pick. He was the second, as far as I can remember, enforcer. Like, he was the second true enforcer, and the torch was handed by him by who, the guy whose nickname was the Enforcer. So my third pick, I'm going with Maurice Lucas, Jonathan, as my third pick, and I know that's
it's a great
it's
one.
not 80s, it's not 90s, and there's other guys that were definitely on my list, but I'm going to go with the original enforcer just because he's OG and he's taught Oakley everything he knew. Oakley probably watched videos of Maurice Lucas doing what he did. Take me through, that era better than me, the mid to late 70s and early 80s. Who were the guys Maurice Lucas was protecting? Was he on that team with Walton? He was on the championship team with Walton. And he was kind of the one guy you just did not F with, man, in the NBA back in that era. And that was an era where freaking those dudes would drop and throw hands like all the time, often. And then guess what? Finish the game. Technical foul. Finish.
Yeah. He squared off with Daryl Dawkins literally, like, everybody cleared out the way. And they literally had fists up.
It looked like a boxing match. I remember seeing that. Yeah. And Dawkins got he was moving. He was moving real quick. He was in here.
And Daryl Dawkins was what, 6'11", probably 280, right?
Yeah. About 225. 225.
By 230, maybe, yeah. But Maurice Lucas was the dude. You're right. And he did play in the 80s a little bit. I think he ended up in Seattle for a little while. He wasn't on that team, I don't think, with like Chambers and Ellis and
hold on. I got us covered right here. You ready?
Oh, nice. Yeah, good video.
Here's the Daryl Dawkins Maurice Lucas fight. I don't know if y'all can see this. That was not Maurice Lucas that got thrown to the ground, but watch this. Watch my number 3 draft pick. There we go.
Yeah.
And this is where Lucas comes in. Oh, here we go.
And now let's square off. And the ref gets out of the way, as he should.
So my guy throws the first punch. Now they squared. Lucas threw the punch, and Dawkins never threw a punch, for the record.
Hold on. I want you to see something, okay? Go back. Just rewind it just briefly.
Are we done here? What are these fans on the floor?
Yeah, I want you to watch how many people get around Dawkins and how few get around Lucas because they're afraid they're going to get hit. Okay,
You may rewind it.
just briefly, because Lucas has a guy in front of him. You'll see.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Take that, okay? Jess Kersey getting out of the way, and then there's one guy he's kind of in the way. Doc gets out of the way. I don't really want to get hit. I'm holding your hands. Like, it's a problem. Maurice Lucas is a problem, dude. Yeah, no doubt. That's a great pick. That's a great pick.
Yeah, I had to go there. And a lot of our guys that are watching may be younger, so they don't remember Maurice Lucas. But, yeah, that was not the only time Maurice Lucas fought in the NBA. I bet if I Google how many times did Maurice Lucas fight in the NBA, it's probably a huge-ass number if I had to guess. All right, give me your number 3. So I got Artest, Johnson, Lucas. All guys similar size, 6'7" to 6'9", 240 to 260. So I'm going with kind of mid-size. You've got a nice big advantage there with a 7-footer and Steven Adams and Oakley being 225 is going to kill you. Go with your number 3 pick.
Okay, I'm going to go and this guy falls kind of in line with Charles Oakley in that I never, and maybe you can correct this, okay, but I never saw anybody mess with him ever. And I also, what I liked about him and Charles Oakley, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, I don't ever remember like Oakley like cheap shotting guys. You know what I'm saying? Like Lane Beer. He just was a dude nobody messed with. And if he stepped into a fight, everybody got out the way. Yeah. And I'm going to take Anthony Mason because I think Anthony Mason might be the scariest looking person that could step into a dark alley for me. Like just pure fear looking at it.
Yeah, it was my next pick, Jonathan. That's rough. That's a hard one to swallow right there because he's 6'7", 250, which I think is probably about right. Left-handed, if I recall. Horrific looking shooting form, but actually did shoot it a little better than you would think. No lift on his jumper. Yeah, not 1 inch of lift on that jumper.
He was a good player. When he went to Charlotte, too, he put up some decent numbers, but
he did.
He was a badass dude.
He was an absolute badass. Yeah, by the time he got to Charlotte, he had a 16-11 season, Jonathan. And honest to God, this is what people aren't going to remember. He actually handled the ball a little bit.
He did. It was funny to watch too because he was so bowed up. But yeah, he did handle it a little bit. Yeah.
From Queens, New York, also, by the way. Just remember that. And by the way, I want to make sure I wasn't crazy. Where's our test from? Yeah, Queensbridge. Okay, I knew I wasn't crazy. I just wanted to make sure. Okay. All right, we're back. All right, that was your number 3 pick. That's a great pick. And I was really struggling between Mason and Maurice Lucas. But let me highlight Mason for you so we know when we have our 5-on-5 all-out brawl. So here's the funny thing. We've picked 6 players. That was my top 6, Jonathan.
Wow, that's awesome.
We were in this, and we never, like you guys know, if we talk about stuff beforehand, we'll tell you. But we didn't discuss anything about any of our lists before this. Right. But your 3 fell into my top 6. Now the good news for me is my 3 were my top 3, and then your 3 were my 4, 5, and 6. That's crazy.
That's nuts.
This is a tough decision, and I have these guys. I don't even have them ranked, but I have them in a list, and I've got to make a decision. I'm looking over here at my side screen, and I got to look at what I'm missing. Do I want to go with the craziest of these 4? Do I want to go with just purely the biggest of these 4 to kind of combat Adams when we get to this free-for-all? Yeah. But if I'm looking at – another way to look at it is which of these players if we haven't really talked about this, like if James Johnson beats you unconscious, he would probably stop because he's a pro. Yeah, and he's probably got a respect for the discipline and all this stuff. Right. I think our test, honest to God, I think there's a chance our test would eat you.
Yeah, he didn't know. I don't think he knows.
Like a Lord of the Flies type,
right?
Post-apocalyptic zombie shit. Okay.
Yep.
Do I want to go to the next craziest player I can think of who would be a problem as far as like he might kill somebody and then just like keep killing them? Or do I want to go with size, or do I want to go with some blend?
Better choose wisely, my friend. That's all I have to say. You better choose wisely because my team is rounding nicely.
I know this is where it gets tough. My top 3 were no-brainers. This is where this is a pain in the ass. I'm just going to go with him because I think that even though we said no weapons, I think this guy may sneak a weapon into the fight. And so I'm going to go with Vernon Maxwell, man. I'm going with Vernon Maxwell. He's small. I get it. But you know what? Ninjas are small. And he's one crazy ass ninja. And so I'm going to go with Vernon Maxwell. He'll definitely be the smallest of the people that we discussed today. How big was Vernon Maxwell? But you know what? I haven't given you my official answer
6'4",
yet.
190. No, you gave me Vernon Maxwell. It's done. He's on your team.
6'4", 180. So he's smaller than me. He's the only player smaller than me. This is the guy I was telling you, like, it's tough. I'll go with it, man. I'm going with Vernon Maxwell because I think his level of crazy outweighs his lack of girth and height and size. I'll go Vernon Maxwell.
Well, and I will give you this. You got two things going for you. He was another one of those dudes that nobody messed with, okay? And in a 5-on-5, right? This is not like 5 1-on-1 standoffs.
Yeah.
Right? So he'd probably do some damage and something like that.
Little spider monkey, a little get up underneath Adams, maybe somehow through the legs, up around the back, choke him out.
I mean, it's not a bad pick. He was on my honorable mention.
Okay.
So,
yeah. This was tough, man. I have a group of 4 here that's really 4 or 5. It's really tough to choose from. I went with the craziest person, the second craziest person in the draft.
I get it. I'm going to stick with my theme of size and fear, and I'm going to go with Ben Wallace next.
Yeah, Ben Wallace was is in the tier. Yeah, he was in that group.
Yeah, because again, I'm basing it on if I am walking and I see this dude walk around the corner, my level of fear, right?
Yeah.
I'm concerned about my level of fear.
Yeah.
So Ben Wallace would definitely be in that list. Ben Wallace was what, 6'9", but probably 260. Right?
Yeah, people could, because Ben Wallace played center, people are like, big Ben Wallace, they just assume he was a 7-footer. Ben Wallace is not a 7-footer.
No.
Ben Wallace, I'm going to pull it up, 6'9", 240. So he's,
he's heavier than that, but nonetheless, he's
not heavier than that. He was more David Robinson build than he was, thick Maurice Lucas, Dawkins. He was definitely tapered.
He looked like a pro wrestler to me, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a big old cut up pro wrestler.
Well, it's because he wore those little strings around his biceps and his freaking veins. He had veins bigger than my biceps. I mean, he was a specimen. If we didn't know who they were, if they were wearing like a ski mask, this is getting really hypothetical, but like I would be significantly more afraid of someone coming around the corner that was shaped like Ben Wallace than was shaped like Vernon Maxwell. Or
Maurice Lucas even. Right.
But I know what I saw and I know what I've heard about Vernon Maxwell.
Yeah.
And I just think he's the person that would not stop punching until you're dead.
And I know, and look, I'm kind of veering a little bit here, but I know we said this is 5-on-5, but I guess I look at it like this. If you put Vernon Maxwell in a cage match to the death with anybody I have on my team, I can't see how he wins, because if they grab him, it's over.
You've always said that. But here's the deal. If Ben Wallace grabbed Vernon Maxwell, Ben Wallace would have no eyeballs or testicles.
And there's that.
And you know where they would be?
Yeah.
They'd be in Vernon Maxwell's mouth.
Probably.
He would literally bite his testicles off. He would rip his eyes out and swallow them. That's why I chose Vernon Maxwell. Do you see Ben Wallace doing that to another human being?
I kind of, maybe not like that.
No way, dude.
I don't necessarily see Vernon Maxwell doing it either. The only guy doing that is Artest. I see Artest doing it. That's it. I don't see anybody else doing that.
You don't see Vernon Maxwell doing that?
No, I think Vernon Maxwell, your typical super hot-headed street fighter who can throw hands like Floyd Mayweather, but like actually wants to knock you out kind of guy.
Yeah,
right?
and 9 inches taller than Floyd Mayweather.
All
right, so let's go. My next pick, I can go back to the era of the early-ish 80s,
okay,
or I can go with here's what's funny. You know what? I'm just going to tell you. I'm choosing between a Milwaukee Buck, a current Milwaukee. You know who that is? A current Milwaukee Buck. Yeah, current. It's not Pat Connaughton.
Wow.
And I'm not going to give it away. I'm just going to go, and I'm going to go with Xavier McDaniel.
Okay, that's a great pick. You weren't got Bobby Portis, were you?
I was Bobby Portis or Xavier McDaniel.
And I know Portis knocked out
Miritich.
Yeah, and he's crazy too, nonetheless. Yeah, Xavier
Well, and he
McDaniel.
looks crazy.
Yeah, Xavier McDaniel was on my list though.
Have you seen anybody ever F with Portis in a game?
No, but it's today's world.
It's today's game. You're right. How could they? What would they do?
I mean, Draymond Green is considered a tough guy.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
So, but no, X-Man was definitely that dude for sure.
I had to go back with a little bit of size. X-Man was a guy who was a freaking fantastic player. First of all,
yeah.
Is he the Mountain Man? Never heard that. 6'7".
What do they have him at? 200?
205.
Oh my God! Stop!
Holy crap! What is wrong with Basketball Reference?
He was lean. I'm gonna give him 225, 230. Okay, but
he's 6'7".
I know, but I'm saying
if he wasn't 225 pounds,
oh, for sure, yeah,
dude, come on, this is absurd. 205.
Yeah, I would say he's 230, honestly. But I mean,
yes,
yeah, I mean 205 is absurd. Yeah,
that's absurd. I gotta find.
Tell our viewers when we were driving to Orlando for an AAU tournament, which again will come up at some point down the road. What did we see Zach Randolph listed at?
Was 195?
Was it like 195? That's what
it was a mistake. It was an error. Let me find a big picture. God, he does look lean there. Okay, well, there's a good picture.
That's a good.
I mean, that's not.
Scary. And look how scary looking he is, dude. That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, he was chiseled, dude. He was chiseled. There's no way that dude is 205. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's making me look bad for choosing him. I'm trying to find a good picture of him when he was there. He is right there, head to head with MJ. Here's a good picture, Jonathan.
He was pretty jacked with Boston.
Yeah, it's a pretty big dude. He's not 205. Let's put it that way. I've been 205. I never look like him.
And just think about
and I'm not 6'7".
Yeah. Just think about that dude walking around into an alley with you.
Yeah, that'd be a problem, man. That'd be a big problem.
Yeah, he's a problem. Yeah.
Okay, enough.
Okay, well, I'm going to go. That was your last pick, right?
That's my last pick, man. That rounds it out. I need to go back with a little bit more size, a little bit more crazy. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I'm choosing between two here. X was on my list, by the way.
You can tell me. You can tell me who you're choosing between. I bet you they're in my next three.
Well, I'm choosing between Shaq just because out of pure size, right?
Okay.
But I'm going to go back. I'm going to choose the guy that I told you I felt like kind of combated James Johnson a little bit, even though it's not MMA. It's boxing, and that's Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson was was he semi-pro or whatever? He was a semi-professional boxer at one point in time, but his hands were registered weapons, okay, which is scary, obviously. Now, granted, James Johnson he can kick you, he can submit you, he can do all that.
Yeah.
I'm not comparing the two, but I'm just saying, okay, so Vernon Maxwell, if he's more of a street fighter, I'll take 6'7", 250 street fighter Larry Johnson.
Yeah, I get it.
Boxer, right?
He was in my honorable mention for sure.
So I'll take him.
He definitely, let's be very clear, he definitely looks the part.
Yes.
Talk about bodies that I would trade with in the NBA. Larry Johnson, for sure. I even had a little note next to my Larry Johnson. He grew up in Dallas playing ball on the playgrounds. His quote to Sports Illustrated in 1992 was, "You have a fight a week. If you played Monday through Saturday and you didn't have a fight, you better be ready for Sunday because you had to fight." He said, "I liked to get my fights out of the way on Monday or Tuesday, so I didn't have to worry about it." That's a great quote. That's a great quote, dude.
Tooth.
Man-child.
Gold tooth.
Yes.
He was awesome.
He checked a lot of boxes. That's a great fifth right there. That's a great fifth. That's it, man. Let's whip through some honorable mention. Why don't you tell me your honorable mention? Because I got like 12 or 13 people.
Okay. So there are going to be people who think we're crazy for not taking Shaq. I don't think Shaq could fight. I don't think he could fight.
I just don't think he's a bad enough or an angry enough person. He didn't. And I watched him enough. He's funny.
I watched him swing and miss on Brad Miller from behind. Right. I watched Barkley take him down now Barkley did say he's like, I had to get him to the ground and get out of there as fast as
That's right. Well, I'm just not taking somebody who gives tens of millions of dollars to charity. I'm just not doing it, man. That's not what this is about. If we're doing a humanitarian draft, give me Shaq, man.
Who cares about you?
I'm not taking him in this. This is I need people that, I need people on my squad that may not stop punching.
And you need people who are looking for a fight, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the key. Okay, so that would be one for me. Alvin Robertson was a guy on my list. He was one of the dudes.
In that tier.
Yeah,
he was in that next tier where I was trying to make a decision.
I thought that's who you were going to go with instead of Vernon Maxwell. I really did. And then when you said
he was in that 4. It was him and Portis and Vernon Maxwell, and Larry Smith was another one.
Yeah, Mr. Mean. Yeah,
Mr. Mean.
So I had Vernon Maxwell on my honorable mention as well. I also had well, no, they was on my list. I'm sorry. My honorable mention was Alvin Robertson, Vernon Maxwell, Karl Malone, just because he was huge, but he was too nice. And then Dale Davis. I had Dale Davis on my honorable mention as well, because I actually looked up.
Dale Davis is on mine.
Yeah. He was a bad dude, man.
He was like the silent dude that nobody screwed with. Yeah, no question. Dale Davis was a badass, man. But not dirty, just freaking tough as shit, man. Regarding Alvin Robertson, he took a punch from Shaquille O'Neal directly into his face. Yes. And he played the game, finished the game. Yeah. He was actually, and this is a crazy story, he was found not guilty of human trafficking in 2015 after his career was long over. He was arrested, and then they found out the accuser made the whole thing up, completely fabricated. Wow. So really shitty story right there. But if he had been convicted of human trafficking, I might take him over Vernon Maxwell, but it sounds like the whole thing was made up, so I don't want to. You know what I'm saying?
If he's convicted of human trafficking, I'm not putting him on my list, because now. No.
Well, I mean, this again, we're not looking for humanitarians and philanthropic, people. We're looking for, this is bad, man. This is dark. I know this channel is about positivity and stuff. We're looking for the opposite of that on this, and trying to make it fun. So,
I'd like to steer. Let's go a different direction with this.
Yeah. Okay. So get out of human. Again, we don't condone human trafficking, nor do we human traffic, nor do I understand why they call it trafficking. Why don't they just call it like kidnapping? I don't understand. But anyway, I guess because they're being sold or whatever. It's terrible. By the way, that movie Sound of Freedom. Have you seen the movie?
I haven't. I heard it's unbelievable.
It's tough, man. You'll watch it. First of all, it's a great movie. You'll watch it, but you'll watch it once. That ain't a movie you want to see again. It's just it takes you to dark places. It's horrible. But Jim Caviezel did a good job. Actually got a chance to meet Jim Caviezel, to be honest with you. Anyway, so Larry Smith was on my honorable mention, a real high honorable mention. And then I have the twins, Bobby Portis and Kurt Thomas.
Kurt Thomas.
Same size, same body, same careers, same freaky eyeballs. So Kurt Thomas and Bobby Portis together. Alvin Robertson obviously was on my honorable mention. I went out on a limb because I'm still waiting to see how this unfolds, and I never thought I would include him in any draft. But Dylan Brooks, I'm concerned about. I don't know if he's if it's all show or if he might really be crazy. The things that are coming out of his mouth are crazy.
Right.
Another guy, but he was just probably too small and not quite as crazy as Vernon Maxwell, as Gilbert Arenas made my list because he obviously didn't understand you can't bring multiple guns and lay them on a table and say, choose which one you want me to kill you with. To Javar's credit.
If you have weapons, he's on the team.
If weapons are involved, we know he's got an arsenal. And by the way, he will be a prominent figure in a future episode that we're about to do where it's Who Says Dumber Shit. That's the name of the episode. Who Says Dumber Shit? And you're taking Paul Pierce and I'm taking Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah, who's more delusional also? Which actually, you're right. It's Who Says Dumber Shit because Paul Pierce is definitely more delusional because I don't think Arenas, I don't ever hear him say like, I was as good as Jordan or something like that, right? He doesn't say stuff like that. He says crazy stuff about other people.
Well, the thing is, all of the stupid shit Paul Pierce says is about himself.
Right.
Gilbert Arenas says stupid shit about everything. So that's where I think
delusional is Pierce. Right.
Yeah.
So you have to be stupid shit. You're right.
Well, we're going to have quotes. We're going to have quotes from each, and we'll talk through it, and we'll see who's more delusional. Dennis Rodman was on my list. Who knows? Dale Davis, we talked about. I got Matt Barnes on my list.
No.
No.
Nah, he was afraid of Kobe.
Was he?
Yeah, after he did the whole ball fake thing, he said he
Was
feared
he?
him. He
I
said he
don't
feared
know.
him. Yeah.
I don't know. I have Zach Randolph on my list.
Now Zebo was a dude I should have put on my list. I actually looked that up, but I was concerned that he might be 195. So
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. He ruined his best year at chasing playoff success when he punched Steven Adams in the jaw in Game 6 of a 2014 playoff game and was suspended for Game 7, which the Grizzlies lost. That was back in the grit and grind era.
Yeah.
So anybody who's got the nuts to punch Steven Adams in the face,
different though. It was a different Steven Adams.
I get it. It was like punch and then get held back, but I'm just saying.
No,
he
Steven
needs to
Adams
be
clean cut. Then you realize that punch is what sent Steven Adams into the Aquaman look.
Okay, maybe. Larry Johnson was in my honorable mention. I've got Delonte West on here because he's certifiably crazy, and we wish nothing but the best. But we know Delonte West is not there. You know what? The oldest player on my list, I went way back, and it's based purely on how many rebounds he got for his height and what his body is shaped like, which is close to the Incredible Hulk. And I put Wes Unseld on my honorable mention because I gotta believe, just Wes Unseld was built like Larry Johnson before Larry Johnson. Am I wrong on that?
No, that's not. That's true. And people said he was a lot of people said he's the strongest person that they ever played against too. By the way, I missed somebody on my honorable mention, but I guess I didn't count him on my honorable mention because I could have potentially drafted him depending on who you drafted. And that's the only person I ever saw square off with Oakley, and that is Rick Mahorn.
I didn't have Rick Mahorn either. I'm thinking fat Rick Mahorn instead of just puffy Rick Mahorn. I'm thinking later fat years.
He was kind of Maurice Lucas-ish.
Very Maurice Lucas-ish. Very Maurice Lucas-ish, no doubt. That's Wes Unseld in college, who looks like a bigger version of Muhammad Ali in that
By
picture.
the way, yes, 100%.
Yeah, also from Louisville. Muhammad Ali, also from Louisville. And by the way, a nice little stat here. Wes Unseld was the only NBA player to win Rookie of the Year and MVP in the same year, along with Wilt Chamberlain. Those two, right? I think that's it.
And then also was the only MVP, I believe, that never made an All-NBA team after he won MVP. Pretty sure that's the case. Or at least first team All-NBA. I know he never did that again.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's look up Wes Unseld because we don't talk about him. 5 times All-Star, 1968, All-Rookie, MVP, and All-NBA, and that was his only All-NBA team.
That's it.
That's it. His 68 year was good. Rookie of the Year, MVP, All-NBA, All-Star game, All-Rookie, and then he was a 1977 Finals MVP. Interesting. I didn't know that.
With Washington, yeah.
With Washington. That was the year before the Blazers won it?
That was the year after.
The Blazers won it in 76, 77. He won it in 77, 78.
Correct. And the Blazers, by the way, that year, had Walton not gotten hurt, they were off to like a 50-6 start.
Oh, wow.
And then he gets hurt. Yeah.
You think Walton's a NBA 75 greatest?
No, he didn't.
You think Walton's a 10 great in the conversation for 10 greatest centers of all time?
No. He didn't play.
I don't either. That book that I was telling you to listen to, they listed him at top 10 center. They listed him like 8 or 9. And I was like, you just didn't do it long enough.
I definitely think he would have been.
I agree 100%. I totally agree. You just didn't do it long enough, dude. You got to put in the numbers for longer.
Pull his numbers up, dude. It's ridiculous that he's considered. He was an MVP and probably would have won a couple more and probably would have won more titles, But
I got 3 more on my honorable mention. Michael Jordan, Kevin Garnett, Kenyon Martin.
I wouldn't take Garnett. Kenyon Martin definitely. Jordan definitely had the mentality for it for sure, but yeah, he definitely didn't mind fighting. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Why Garnett? Just crazy? Just because
he's crazy. He said that Thon Maker was going to win MVP multiple times.
Yeah.
So anybody who just does, he just doesn't have any sense. You
heard
great stories. I mean, it's fun to listen to, but it's like he's off. He's throwed off.
You heard the story of him arm wrestling Big Baby on the airplane.
You told me this story. We talked about this story. Tell me the story.
Well, you have to hear Glenn tell the story.
Okay.
And it's I remember listening to it, and they were talking about that '08 Celtics team. They did some little mini documentary, I think, on it. And anyhow, Pierce is telling the story, which of course throws all credibility out the window. But then Big Baby's telling the story as well. Like they're kind of doing it simultaneously, and it sums up Kevin Garnett, who he is 100%. So yeah. Anyhow, yeah, good list. I think my team.
Well, this is it. Let me just show it. Let's put it on screen here now so you can see what we got here.
Yeah.
Our test, James Johnson, Lucas, Xavier McDaniel, Vernon Maxwell. The problem with me is I took the only small guy. And then you went Larry Johnson, Ben Wallace, Anthony Mason, Steven Adams, Charles Oakley. It's tough. We're going to let the people decide in the comments. That's tough. 5-on-5, no weapons unless Vernon Maxwell sneaks one in. I just figure I have the two guys that I know. Well, I don't want to say they've probably killed somebody, but if I was going to have to gamble and say somebody may have killed somebody, not on purpose, but like accidentally beat them to death, I think I have those two guys.
Our test. You think James Johnson has?
No. Vernon Maxwell.
Oh, Maxwell. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, I guess now we will agree on this, I think. And I know this is not what this is about. It's about who would win in a fight. If you're walking in the alley and you see one of the two teams walk around, who are you more afraid of? My team for sure.
Definitely your team. You've got, you got a 7-footer. Is Steven Adams the only white guy on our list?
Yes.
Steven Adams the only white guy that made the list.
Yes. Yeah. But he looks like a 7-foot Jason Momoa. So I'll take him. And then I'll take the other guys that I have on my list.
And then Steven Adams is there.
Yeah. I think people are going to have problems that Shaq's not on either one of our teams.
You think they are?
I think they are. I do.
How much do you think Shaq weighed? I think my 9-year-old was asking me how much does Shaq weigh, and we were in the car on the way to a soccer tournament. And my wife was like, he probably weighed 300 pounds, and I was like, well, let me stop you there. He definitely weighed 300 pounds. Like at his peak, how much do you think he weighed? Well, right now is probably his peak. You think he weighs more now or when he was playing?
Oh, more now, I think.
I think so, more now. How much do you think he weighs right this second?
Okay, so I'll set it up by saying this. When he was a freshman at LSU, they weighed him at 290, okay? That's what they listed him at. But a friend of ours, Doug Anderson, who played on that team, said he never saw him step on the scale at less than 330. Now, granted, Anderson wasn't on the team when Shaq was a freshman. So let's just start at 290. Okay. If you want to go at 330, go look at Shaq's pictures in college. All right.
It doesn't look like the same person.
It was reported that whenever he was in the NBA Finals against the Nets in USA Today, and it came out years later, that he weighed 387 that year. Okay. And that was 2002, I think. So that means today, does he weigh 450? That's my question.
He looks good.
So he probably, let's give him 410. Let's give him 410.
If you had $10,000 to bet, you would bet he weighs 400 plus?
Yeah. If he weighed 387 in 2002? Yeah.
Yeah. Man. That's tough. He's big. He's big for sure. And you know what's even scarier is have you seen that picture of him next to Yao Ming?
Oh, I know. It's crazy.
That's crazy. Yao Ming is like on a whole nother level of gigantic, especially now. He's kind of thickened up. He always had those thick cankles anyway, but he's super thick now. All right, let's knock out our deal at the end, and this is where people just kind of doze off and tune out. But let's name our – I wanted to ask you, who's a better right now, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry. Let's just, for the sake of argument, Steph Curry's a point guard. Okay? Yeah, we're going to call Steph Curry a point guard.
Who am I taking?
Have you ever done this? Have you ever looked at their numbers and compared awards and averages and all that stuff?
Sure.
Okay, I haven't done it, but there's more and more. There's been more and more talk about Steph pushing Magic for the greatest point guard ever. Nope. Have you looked at it?
Not yet. It's not there yet. It's
not freaking remotely close. How much better Magic was.
Right. It's not close. He won 5 titles.
Hold on. Well,
3
watch this.
MVPs.
We're gonna go line by line, but here's what I want you to see. Look at that first line.
I know.
They played almost exactly the same number of games, so it's not premature to compare the two players. Now,
Right.
Steph Curry's got a lot of tread on the tire, we think, but you never know.
Right.
But right there, Steph's played 24 less games. So at some point this season, they will have played the exact same number of games.
Yep.
And Steph had a long college career too, right? Did he come after his junior year or sophomore year?
Junior year.
I thought it was junior year.
Yeah.
So points per game, clearly Steph, one of the greatest scoring point guards of all time. And then look at how much of a disparity when you get down to awards and honors. Look at the rebounds. We knew Magic would have a lot more. Look at the assists, 6 to 11. And that's part of the reason why people say Steph's not a point guard, because sometimes he's not. And the ball just moves, right? The ball just moves. Steals per game, Magic. Blocks per game, twice as many, Magic. Field goal percentage, landslide, Magic. Obviously, we know that doesn't mean he's a better shooter. Just the shots he's taking drastically different. 3-point percentage, clearly we knew what was going to happen there. Free throw percentage, Magic was a great free throw percentage.
Really good.
Great free throw shooter. Steph Curry is maybe the greatest ever. Effective field goal percentage advantage, Curry, because threes are so heavily weighted. He's a better shooter. Nobody's ever going to argue that.
Right.
But then look at awards and honors and what Magic jammed into his 906 games versus Steph Curry into his 900 games. It's not even remotely close. Championships, more. First team All-NBA, more than twice as many. All-NBA, more. MVP, more. Finals MVP, 3 times as many. All-Stars, more. So Steph, I don't think there's any. How old is Steph? How old is Steph Curry?
Here's what I want to know. Tell me how many seasons Steph Curry has played. I need to know that.
Shit. How do we do that? I don't know. Well, we would have to click on Steph Curry. I wanted to do something else first. Before we get there, Steph could win another championship. Could he win 2 more?
No.
How likely is that? Not likely. He can't make 5 more first-team All-NBA teams.
No.
He can't. He might make 2 more All-NBA teams if he stays healthy. I guess that's conceivable. He could catch Magic there. He's never winning another MVP. Is that fair?
Yeah, fair.
He's definitely not winning 2 more Finals MVPs because he just got his first one. And he is not going to he could make 3 more All-Star teams. He'd have to stay very, very healthy, which we know has been an issue. So I just think it's going to be very tough. I mean, his lead in threes and the greatest shooter ever. And I think, recency bias has a lot to do with it. But I don't see anyway Steph Curry, even if you argue he's a point guard, which I still need to be sold on that. Just because he's the smallest player on the floor doesn't mean he's a point guard. Jonathan, he has played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 seasons in the NBA.
Magic played 12. I just looked all this up. Okay, so you're right. He played 14. Magic played 12, unless you want to count that little half season where he tried to come back. Okay, in 12 years. Magic
also, to be fair, Steph's really played 12 because he had the 23-game season, 23 games where he did his ankle, and then he had the 5-game season.
I get it. That's fine. Staying healthy is also matters, right? Magic missed part of it.
It does matter. It's why Karl Malone's talked about all the time in Stockton. Yeah.
So in 12 seasons, Magic made All-NBA 10 times. 10. Steph's done it 4 in 14 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Magic was a 12-time All-Star in 12 seasons, right? And so my point is, you're 100% right. It's not close. And I will go so far as to say this, and this would stir up a lot of people. I don't even think Steph Curry is a better scorer than Magic Johnson. He's a far better shooter. Okay.
I have a problem with that. How do you explain that?
Hear me out. Because I think it would have been easier for Magic to average 24.6 than it has been for Steph to average 24.6 if he decided to go that route. I think if Magic Johnson had decided, I'm going to go be a back-to-the-basket point guard who's going to go in, like later in his career when Kareem was on the downside, Magic would go get average 23 a game, right? He led the team in scoring, but he had Worthy. If Magic Johnson was put in a position where he was the go-to guy on a team, I think he averages 25 easy. I think he does it easy. That's all I'm saying. Steph Curry's okay. it's probably a poor choice of words. Steph Curry's a better scorer because he's obviously a better shooter, and he's averaged a lot more points. He's averaged more points. I don't think the disparity is as great as 25 to 19. That's all I'm getting. That's all I'm getting at.
That's probably what you should have said.
Yeah, style of play.
That's probably what you should have said instead of saying Magic Johnson was a better scorer than Steph Curry.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, because Steph was such a great shooter. If Magic, but just think about it, dude. If Magic had decided, I'm not going to average 11 or 12 assists a game.
Yeah. Here's the deal. Worthy was always healthy. Cooper was always healthy. Byron Scott was always healthy. Kareem was always healthy. He never had to be the Russell Westbrook of his team. He never had to do everything. He was literally just orchestrating an incredibly talented group. All right, here we go. I've randomly pulled it up. Let's see who you can name over here. You ready? I'm going to let you go first since I'm always better than you at this. Wow, look at our guy on there. This should be really there's one that I'm going blank on that I know you're not going to get. Go ahead. You know that. Oh,
well,
that's easy.
I didn't know Eldon Campbell. Okay. Dylan Brooks.
You know Eldon Campbell?
I did know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Eldon Campbell, Dylan Brooks, Garrett Temple.
I'm going blank on his name, and it's a funny name.
I don't know. I don't know who it is. I don't know the other guy either.
The other guy's Dante Exum.
Oh, okay.
And I can't. It's like Theo something. What's his name? Theo Maladon.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
I've actually never heard that person's name before.
I know you haven't. Oh crap! It's no statistic stuff. It's all with this team crap. Let's go quick. Speed. Magic and Pistons.
Man, who cares? This thing sucks.
This thing does suck.
It sucks. Kill this. We need to kill this. We need
to
go back to.
We're done.
Yeah, we need to go back to
name the player in the picture.
Yeah, something like that.
What famous nicknames?
Yeah.
All right, we're getting rid of the immaculate grid. We're losing people. All right, that's another episode. That's our dark alley draft. Again, let me be very clear. I want to cover ourselves. I'm not saying any of these people are bad people or would do any of the things we said. We're obviously being somewhat sarcastic and hypothetical, and it's a very far-fetched situation, but it's just fun conversation. Really, it just comes from a position of admiration and respect of I've never been that guy that people just won't screw with. Like, I'm not that person, right? So to see these guys, these larger than life, like intimidating figures that were on our list, the Oakleys, the Artests, the Johnsons, the Lucases, Adams, Mason, Wallace, even Vernon Maxwell to be a little guy that everybody was scared of, Alvin Robertson, Xavier McDaniel. It's just pretty cool. So we just basically wanted to do something a little bit different than toughest guys in the NBA, right? Because we've seen a million of those lists out there. And so food for thought. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We've got some really cool episodes going up. I think our next episode is going to focus on the things that we like and don't like about a lifetime of playing pickup basketball, of playing street ball in some of the coolest places and some of the best courts all over the country, primarily in the South, but all over the place. Some of the stuff that we see. If you're a young watcher, you need to keep some of this stuff in mind. These are two old heads telling you what to look out for, what to be prepared to see at a pickup basketball game. So it'll be funny to tell some of those stories. Anyway, that's our next episode coming soon. And then we will have a Gilbert Arenas versus Paul Pierce, Who Says Dumber Shit episode coming up very soon as well. So thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby, and peace.